Running on Air by 11ty7. Ch.3.2. A new scene forms, and for a moment Harry is disoriented. Then he remembers Astoria said she gave him memories. Plural. The high summer sun has long set, it seems. He's standing on the crumbling stone steps of a small chapel. There's a brisk wind stirring dead leaves along the gravestones. Overhead, the sky is blue with unshed rain. Someone is standing at a grave, setting a small handful of wilting bluebells upon it, but Harry doesn't recognize them. He turns and nearly jumps. Astoria stands just behind him, her face pale, her robes black and plain, billow and snap in the wind like the sails of a storm-tossed boat. The chapel door opens. Malfoy steps out and closes it behind him. Astoria? Astoria's mouth looks like a bruised petal, Harry thinks. She shakes her head. I can't go back in there. I can't stand it. My father would hate it. All the people in black and Mother sitting there with that horrible look on her face. You have to deliver the eulogy, Malfoy says. Astoria looks at him, a strange mix of desperation and disbelief on her face. I can't. Will you do it for me? No. I can't. You told me last night, Astoria, that you wanted to be the one standing there delivering your father's eulogy. Malfoy's expression hasn't changed a bit, Harry thinks. He's standing there looking intently at Astoria. Can't you do it for me? Astoria turns away from him, her mouth trembling. Merlin, I can't cry. If I cry now, I won't be able to go back in. Then don't cry, Malfoy says flatly. Astoria looks at him and anger seems to overtake her grief. You don't even care, do you? She steps to the door, resting her hand on the wrought iron handle. Sometimes I wonder why I married someone so selfish and unkind. She opens the door and enters the chapel, and, with that, the memory dissolves. The next memory is bright, filled with sun again, the tepid sunlight of autumn streaming through a large window. A bedroom, Harry thinks, turning from the window. There's a dresser and a wardrobe, and a bed, of course. The style of the room reminds him of Astoria's country home, and he wonders if that's the location. Astoria is sitting on the edge of the bed. She's holding something in her hand. A wedding ring, Harry realizes. As he steps closer, he's realizing that she is crying. Did she have a fight with Malfoy? He waits restlessly for Malfoy to step through the door and say something acerbic. Nothing seems to happen, however. He gives up waiting for Malfoy and restlessly paces the room. There's a collection of items on the dresser. A seashell, an acorn, a photograph of a sunset over a field, a small calendar. Harry glances at it, then looks again. 25th of October, 2003. Just over a month since Malfoy went missing. Turns to gaze at Astoria. She's still sitting on the edge of the bed, her wedding ring in one hand, crying silently. Feels slightly uncomfortable with the memory and wonders why Astoria gave him such a personal scene. Then she speaks, and for a moment Harry thinks she's speaking to him. But she seems to be addressing nothing more than air. I never told you, she says, her voice low and hoarse. I never said how grateful I was that day you made me go and say my father's eulogy. And then the memory dissolves again, and Harry finds himself standing alone in his office. He paces his office, mind racing. The memories rush through his head like water. What's the point in that? Sitting in a box, only going where somewhere else takes you. I wanted to be the first in my family to do something for once. You won't believe the stunned creature pulled this morning. Harry whips around, startled from his thoughts. Ron has just walked through the door, looking slightly tattered.
She used this amazing hacks to catch McGregor. It was brilliant, but it was nowhere near safe. Williamson's giving her a right telling off. Oh, I didn't interrupt anything, did I? No, I was just viewing some memories,
Harry says, turning and locking the cabinet. Ron looks at him with sudden interest.
Hermione said you were working on Malfoy's case. Is that true?
Harry nods.
Well,
Ron says doubtfully.
Doesn't that create a conflict of interest, really? I can be a professional, you know.
Harry says defensively, and Ron shrugs.
All right, calm down. You're working late. It's past 6, you know. So we lights on and figured you'd be here. Seem to practically live in the office these days.
Ron frowns.
Everything all right with you and Ginny? Of course. Why wouldn't it be? This case has gotten interesting, that's all.
Ron's eyebrows shoot upwards.
You've got new leads. Blimey, Harry. Malfoy's been gone, what, 3 or 4 years now? No new leads,
Harry admits.
But, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Tell you what, if you fought Malfoy after all this time, I reckon Williamson will give you any assignment you want. We'll be going on fieldwork together before you know it.
Ron grins.
Never thought I'd say it, but if you need any help finding Malfoy, just ask and I'll see what I can do. Thanks, Ron.
They leave the office together, Harry feeling a little more clear-headed. They need to visit Narcissa Malfoy, however. He wants to know what happened to Draco's car. Although he writes an owl on Tuesday, he doesn't get a response until Thursday when Narcissa Malfoy sends an owl. It's short and succinct. She will receive him at the manor, 2 o'clock sharp on Friday. Harry can't help but feel slight resentment that Narcissa feels perfectly welcome to turn up at his apartment at any time, but he's expected to practically make appointments to visit her. Nevertheless, he arrives at the manor at the expected time. It's so protected by wards, he finds, and he has to walk up the rather long driveway. He's half expecting a house elf or servant to greet him at the door, but it's Narcissa herself. "Do come in," she says. Harry wonders how she can possibly live in the manor, built with nightmare-inducing memories. It's exactly how he remembers it. The cold stone floors, the rows of disapproving portraits glaring at him. They pass the drawing room. The doors are firmly locked, Harry notices, and judging by the layer of dust on the handles, the room has been abandoned for a long time. He expects to be taken to a sitting room or reception hall, but Narcissa leads him straight up the stairs into the family quarters and to a narrow door. She unlocks it with a tap of her wand and opens the door. The smell of dust and disuse rising from the room like a wave. Harry glances at Narcissa, then walks in. It's a bedroom. There's a bed in the corner with hunter green covers, although it's hard to tell from the layer of dust over it. A bedside table, a dresser, and a neat stack of boxes in the corner. Harry turns to look at Narcissa, but she sees the question in his face without him uttering a word. "Draco's possessions," she says.
This was his room.
Narcissa nods, just once, until he purchased a home in East Devon.
The same house as he lives in now?
Harry says, frowning. No.
What happened to Draco's home, then?
Narcissa lifts a hand to the necklace around her neck. The sapphire pendant again, Harry sees. It was solely in Draco's name. I sold it on his behalf. Harry frowns. His first instinct is to wonder why Narcissa sold her son's home, but then he imagines what he would do if it had been someone close to him who went missing. Could he bear to let the empty house sit there for years, slowly decaying? These are his things, Narcissa says, tilting her head toward the boxes stacked in the corner. It's a very small pile, Harry thinks critically. Is this really the contents of a whole house?
And what happened to his furniture? His car?
The furniture was sold with the house. Narcissa hesitates. There's a set of stables on the manor grounds. There used to be horses and carriages kept there. The stables were converted to a storage area for the gardener's equipment. Draco's car is kept there too.
You didn't sell it?
Narcissa glances away, a hand still resting on the sapphire pendant. You can look at it if you think it will help. It's one of Draco's most prized possessions. Harry studies Narcissa for a moment.
You didn't approve of it?
I preferred not to encourage Draco's interest in the Muggle vehicle, no. Narcissa turns away. You may peruse the boxes at leisure. I hope you find something of use in the investigation. She leaves. Harry turns his attention to the boxes and opens the first one. To be continued. Thank you so much for listening to this chapter of Running on Air by eleventy7. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. It means a lot to me, and I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope I will hear you very soon.